A total solar eclipse is happening today. But if you're in the United States, there's a catch. Most Americans will not see totality. Instead, only parts of the country will see a partial eclipse, and in many places, it will look like just a small bite taken out of the sundae. So, where is the eclipse actually happening? What can people in the US see, and how do you watch it safely? Searches for eclipse today are suddenly exploding because a real total solar eclipse is happening on the 12th of August, 2026. This is not just a partial eclipse everywhere. There is a true path of totality. But that path does not cross the mainland United States. Instead, the total eclipse sweeps across Greenland, Iceland, northern Russia, the Atlantic Ocean, Spain, and a small corner of Portugal. That's why so many Americans are searching the same question. Can we see it too? The answer is yes, but only partially. NASA says many places in the northern hemisphere will experience a partial solar eclipse, including parts of the northern United States, stretching from Alaska to North Carolina. That means some viewers in the US can watch the moon cover part of the sundae. But for Americans, this is not a coast-to-coast total eclipse like the one in April 2024. In the US, most viewers who can see it at all will only see a small part of the sun covered. NASA gives examples for several US locations. In Fairbanks, Alaska, the maximum coverage is about 37%. In Anchorage, it's about 28%. In Bangor, Maine, about 24%. In Boston, about 16%. And in Detroit, only about 3%. So when people hear eclipse today, many imagine the sky going dark. But in much of the United States, that is not what this event will look like. For many Americans, it will be subtle. NASA says the partial eclipse begins in Alaska and northern Canada in the morning. In the northern contiguous United States, it begins around midday and lingers into the mid-afternoon farther east. For example, Bangor begins at 12:54 p.m. local time and reaches maximum at 1:53 p.m. Boston begins at 1:01 p.m. and peaks at 1:55 p.m. Detroit begins at 1:03 p.m. and peaks at 1:36 p.m. So if you're in the northern US, the event may happen during lunch hour or early afternoon. If you want the dramatic version where the sun is fully covered and the sky darkens, that happens only inside the path of totality. NASA says the red band crosses Greenland, Iceland, and Spain. For most people in the path, totality lasts less than 2 minutes. Only people inside that narrow path can look directly at the eclipse without eye protection during the brief total phase. Outside that path, even if most of the sun is covered, it is still a partial eclipse, and eye protection remains essential. This is the most important part. NASA says eclipse glasses are not regular sunglasses. Regular sunglasses are not safe for viewing the sundae. If you're watching the partial eclipse directly, you must use safe solar viewing glasses or a safe handheld solar viewer. And you should never look at the sun through a camera lens, telescope, binoculars, or any optical device while wearing eclipse glasses, unless that device has a proper solar filter attached to the front. If you don't have eclipse glasses, you can use an indirect method like a pinhole projector. If you're not in a place where the eclipse is visible or you just want the best view, NASA will live stream the eclipse starting at 1:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That means even viewers outside the visible zone can still watch totality as it happens. So even if your own sky doesn't show much, you can still follow the real event live. So why is eclipse today trending right now? Because a real total solar eclipse is happening today. But for most Americans, the headline is a little misleading unless you know the details. Yes, parts of the United States can see the eclipse, but only as a partial eclipse. The spectacular total eclipse is happening elsewhere, mainly across Greenland, Iceland, Spain, and other places along the path of totality. So if you're in the US, check whether your location is in the partial eclipse zone, use proper eye protection, and don't expect the sky to go fully dark unless you're actually in the path of totality. That's why Eclipse Today is trending right now. And now you know the story behind the search.